Joe, you get clean, but you're in recovery. You're constantly in recovery, correct? It's always a recovery. So you're in recovery and you go back to school. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, at the time I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do, but so often we teach what we need to learn, right? So I
Mhm.
was really interested in psychology and mental health. I wanted to help people. Obviously, addiction was a focus of mine. And so that's what I did. I went back to school and I did my master's in human development and family studies. I actually worked in treatment centers. And I burned out so quickly. I really did. I went, oh my God, what did I do? I've been an addict my whole life, and now I put myself right back in that energy. I just escaped it, and now here I am. And so then I reinvented myself again, and I went to work for the university, and I thought it would be different with college students because they didn't have any problems. And I learned real quickly that is not the case. But what I
Mhm.
will say about working with that population is they have more resources, they have more tools. Their addiction isn't that advanced yet, where they've had hellacious health consequences from it, so on and so forth. So it is an opportunity for earlier intervention. But I was humbled real quickly with the amount of trauma that these students were carrying and dealing with.
Mm.
So I was naive to think that that population was immune from the real horrific hurts of the world. And I worked with them, though. I developed a lot of drug and alcohol intervention programs and ran the counseling. And then I taught addiction courses for 12 years, which was the most beautiful way for me to stay connected to recovery and to give back and to learn. I mean, these students taught me as much as I ever learned from them. I got to work a lot with athletics and Greek life, going in and having those real conversations about, who you are and who you want to be and the highest version of self and how you're showing up in the world and that cognitive dissonance of, who I want to be is this, but how I'm acting is here. And how do we bridge that gap? And one of the things I saw on the college campus that I do want to highlight, just the absolute man hating that came out. Some of it, I think, was the Me Too movement. Some of it was a lot of things being exposed that needed to be exposed, 100%. But so many times the pendulum swings so far to the other side, as society is collectively trying to find balance, that I was working with these young men and, they thought they were all rapists and they were all bad people. It was just the education was very, very negative, where for me, it's like, young men are protectors. The conversation really should have been geared towards like rise into your power. And when you see that shit happening, do something because
Mhm.
people will listen to you. You are a leader, you have influence, you have a voice. Like, I don't know. So it was a really interesting time in academia right then. It all of a sudden campuses are needing to investigate sexual assault, and there was just a lot in the field during that time. So I'm really appreciative of it. I loved my time there. And I also I was kind of coming to an end with it when COVID hit.
Mhm.
And that everybody's got a COVID story. But mine, I had been teaching online for 5 semesters. I was over it. My ex husband and I owned a very large martial arts school. We had 700 students when COVID hit. And I was like, oh my God, this doesn't come back. What made us special, having 100 kids in a training together, is going to be our detriment. Like, people are not going to want that now. And so my ex and I made the decision to just sell everything. We sold our home, building, business. I quit the university, sold cars, furniture, everything, and moved to Mexico. And it was it was at that time, I took a couple years off trying to think like, what do I really want to do and how can I best be of service in the addiction field? And so what I do now is I go and I speak. I advocate a lot for harm reduction, and I go and speak to police and courts and Supreme Court justices advocating for treatment over punitive sentencing and drug courts around the country. So I love going and speaking on addiction. That really is my passion, to get out there and speak. With my clients, I do much different work one on one. I have a couple that battle addiction, but that's not really what we're working on. My main work is on intimacy. So, really dropping into our hearts, living from that space, emotional intelligence. But my one on one coaching is that a lot of work with couples, deepening intimacy. How do we explore conflict through the lens of I love you, I choose you, you're my partner? How do we get attuned first, create a safe space so that our defenses aren't getting flared and abandonment issues aren't getting worked up? How do we create a safe container to then be able to have really honest conversations? And that
Be-
goes back to the journalism, the storytelling. Like
right.
how can we create such a intact, safe dynamic between two people that they can speak their truth and be heard? It's really magnificent.
So I have a theory, and you can disprove it or back it up. I'm just going to put it out there
Okay.
that people that suffer from addiction, and there are a variety of forms of addiction, right? And I know somebody personally who's addicted to working out. Um, that these forms of addiction come from a place of them internally not being safe, not feeling safe. They be safe physically, emotionally, or mentally. And so it seems like what you're doing with those clients is trying to make them feel safe in their emotions so that they can share. Because not being safe in your emotions can lead to escape, like escaping to a bottle or escaping to pills or escaping to anything that can be destructive, and anything can be destructive when you do too much of it. So what do you think about that theory? Does that hold water, or is that like, Bruce, I don't know what you're talking about that?
No, I love how you articulate that, and I completely agree. I mean, for me, addiction is a maladaptive coping mechanism. It starts with the intention of safety and pleasure and feeling okay within ourselves. And the problem with most addictive, whether it's substances, behaviors, whether it's porn, shopping, working out, whatever it is, right, is it works until it doesn't.
If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notification button when you do subscribe so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/unsolicited perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.